Hi, what's up guys? It's Roscoe here. I'm going to do a video about the current meta following kind of 8.3 and how it's really kind of polarized now as to the teams that you can play and actually get wins consistently. So following kind of a handful of pets being released, so you've got Anomalous, the Void Glower, Void Scarred Cat, and maybe Rot Breath. Probably not quite so much, but certainly those first three have pushed a AoE cleave meta that is quite negative for the game. It's negative because the level of value that these pets get is, especially AoE wise, is really kind of as high and as far as it probably has been. I know there's a few pets before that had broken abilities, and I do certainly think that Anomalous has the protocol is broken. So stuff like Voltbot, the Twilight Clutchester Whelpling, Tinytron, the Scorpion, so like Death Sting, and Pyroclaw, and even to an extent like Rattlejaw with the Great Cleave ability, and Blight Breath. I mean that's a much older pet, but it's still kind of fits where that AoE threshold, that AoE level that it can get out, especially with the Undead Facial. Its value is just a bit too high, I feel. So the abilities that specifically I think cause it are Poison Protocol, Great Sting, and then the meteorites that are overpowered, as well as even like Void Slap and Great Cleave. They're both slightly over budget, and with the cooldowns, so it's something where there's a high amount of value compared to other pets. So it's kind of created, I would say, a situation where if you aren't countering AoE, you will likely lose most of your games. It's as simple as that, and that's bad. It hurts the diversity. It hurts the almost innovation of new strategies, and just creates a situation where the meta is very stale. Anything that's non-tier is just bad to play, just because of the power level of some of those AoE abilities is far too high, in regards to kind of the older pets and the more balanced abilities that either have been nerfed or changed so their power level is appropriate. But so this has kind of created a really rubbish situation where the best counter to 90% of all these teams is Sandstorm. I mean, you could also run High Health, but I think that's it's not as reliable. I don't think you could always guarantee the wins with that. So you then have the Karaji Guardlings, Doom Watcher, both the Idols and Living Sandling becoming quite dominant. The Guardling is by far the best of the bunch. But what that does is there's potentially another way to counter the AoE cleave, and that's via control. But those control pets are often quicker. Death Adder Hatching is a perfect example. It's a fast pet, so it can offer that control. It has cooldown abilities that combine with like poison, but with how the meta has changed, and that Sandstorm is obviously an extremely easy ability to use and get the kind of the value out of it against those AoE teams, and the kind of the damage saved is just vast. That the Sandstorm also hurts the control pets, where they often rely on speed, and multi hits and things like that. Maybe they don't hit quite as hard. So that's where the sandstorm gets more value. If you're going in a multi hit, it's taking a minimum of 70 off, up to like 80, 90 off those attacks. You're probably halving those attacks, halving the damage output that you have. So you then have to think, well, how do I counter Sandstorm? But as soon as you don't run Sandstorm yourself, you open yourself back up to the AoE pets just coming in and giving you a bad day, I suppose, causing you a lot of issues. I think the way around it would be obviously to reduce the AoE, but it's a poor direction that the developers have gone in. I think there was a patch, the end of Legion, the Argus patch, where a lot of these abilities were released. So that's where the Dark Cleaves came in, Meteorite, I believe, the Great Cleaves, the Protocols, that kind of thing. That's where they initially came in, and they weren't all on strong pets. Whereas now, the power level of the pets that have it is just much, much higher. It has kind of changed some of the more overpowered pets in a way. So you've got the hermit crab that has probably been hit the hardest, because it's great in all that it's overstatted, but if it's on the back line, that doesn't matter. And then if it's on the front line, you still have two pets on the back that will struggle to then come in after the insane amount of value that your opponent can kind of get off. Especially if you're not swapping out the hermit crab to go through 3 pets, and say 2 of them are AoE based, you're likely to then get down to a 1v1 where the hermit is taking damage, so it kind of loses out there. You have the Skyfin as well. That's another pet that the amount of guaranteed value that it gets every game is far too high at present. It's a hard pet to also play around. There's not many pets that counter it, not well anyway, in my opinion. So it can always, I'd say most of the time it will trade one for one, and that's fairly standard. But then what it can also potentially do, that's the minimum. The most it could do, it could potentially trade and then probably put another pet down to like 30%, 20%. And there's some situations where it can get a whole team, so it could probably take out like two pets worth of health. And the last ability, and I know that the Hermit and the Jar from Wormy is getting nerfed or changed, but again, it's the amount of kind of value and how it synergizes with itself. And I don't believe that having any ability that reduces damage at that level is good for the game. I think that once weakness is on a good pet or better pet, it'll become the same thing. But yeah, hopefully things will get changed. I don't think they will. I actually think that they're going to continue to go in this AoE direction, which is disappointing. It's not a fun meta to play in, because it is so kind of polarized in the strategies, in that you can AoE or you counter AoE. Anything between that is sub tier now, in my opinion, and it's a real shame. And I think it's poor decisions after poor decisions and a lack of response from the devs that have caused it. And I know that they don't like to appear weak, and they don't like to kind of concede that they've made mistakes. And I think that's the biggest problem. And it's not only for pet battles, but across WoW, there needs to be more action based on feedback from players, and that hasn't happened. It doesn't happen, and combined with it just must just be a lack of understanding of elements of the game that cause these problems to arise, and it's a shame, because just these one or two strategies just become dominant, and then it's a really stale environment where you can't meme, you can't play anything for fun. That's just not allowed now, because there's too many players running these overpowered pets that almost guarantee value every game, and there should be times where a certain pet can be countered so that it doesn't really do anything or doesn't do much. So hopefully they will change it. The proposed changes for Shadowlands are currently pretty weak, I would say. Obviously I mentioned Jar. It's going to be okay. Wormy people won't play Wormy. It'll be weaker now than kind of the other pets that are kind of on that level now. The proposed nerf to Twilight Meteorite is a joke. I think what is it? It's 50 base damage now. Other abilities are 33, I believe, and other abilities that essentially are the same. They have the same mechanic, the same cooldown, and the nerf from 50 down to 45. So it's still 12 base damage over over like other abilities of the same type, which is a bit of a joke. I don't understand why that's the decision they've made. There's also some strange, there's like a healing ability that it heals, I would say on par, similar to like a Haunting Song or Bleak kind of thing. But it also has sunlight baked into it. So you're not only you getting a heal, team heal, you're also getting the benefit of the weather, a change in ability, and also then you're buffing that heal again, any subsequent heals, as well as any strategies that you obviously run that relies on the health pools. And yeah, those for another video. I think sunlight and the health pool needs to probably be taken off. But yeah, that's the best strategy. Sunlight is the health. There's also like a force swap ability with no cooldown, but I'd imagine that won't go live. And Righteous Inspiration has been nerfed, and that's fine. I don't think it's the correct nerf. I don't think it's the right direction to go in. I think that the 8-round cooldown on or Gonk is just, it's an awkward thing to play around. You can't even kind of like avoid it with that bend time, is it, the ability cooldown? That doesn't work. It's just broken. It does nothing other than bug out abilities. So it's a shame, because that would be a really interesting mechanic. And I know that other than it being buggy, if it wasn't buggy, it would have been reliable, but they changed, or they broke it. But yeah, I think, in my opinion, taking away the speed modifier from RI on the pet that gets swapped in would be a much better change, because it keeps the kind of a similar element to what it's got, but then the level of counterplay is increased. That's a shame, and it seems it's just a lack of understanding, massively. And there's no excuse for these over budget pets that they've had to fix. There's no excuse for that. Maybe some of the ones like the Syndicate, in where is a couple of numbers, but the like the Hermit Crabs and stuff like that, and Dark Hunters, it's just shocking. It's just poor. It's really, really quite poor. But anyway, that's enough. Me discussing the meta. Let me know kind of your guys' thoughts on it, and if you're enjoying it or not. I know a lot of people I've spoken to don't enjoy it, which is a shame. It's not the direction that we should be going in the pet battle changes. Things should get better over time, like improved, learn lessons and stuff like that. But it appears that isn't the case. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.